We're going over two terms I'm sure most of you haven't heard of yet, and these two terms are responsible for 100% of your losses. And I'm talking about macros and micros. And after watching this video, you're going to learn how to consistently make it to the end and win more games. So without further ado, my name is Alpha Drew. Let's get into it. We're going to be starting off with macros first, and the main thing I want you to take away is macro at its core is all about the big picture, putting yourself in the best position to get to the overall goal, winning, whereas micros are all about the smaller picture, the small decisions that lead up to the big picture. Now that we have that out of the way, we can take a deep dive into different macros. The first in-game macro decision you're going to make is your rotation, but in order to make that decision, you need some key information. Where are the nearby teams or the nearby POIs? Are there any beacons or ring consoles? Are there any fights breaking out nearby that you could either third or use as a distraction to get to where you need to be? Where will the endgame be, or where do you think the endgame will be? Wait, but this is only for teams playing zone. Because if you want to play edge style, there are some slight changes to the formula. Edge teams normally have more kills and higher level armors. Why? Because they're forced to fight throughout the rotations, and they also have access to evil harvesters. And the big difference here is when it comes to the end game, edge teams typically have purple and red armors, whereas zone teams sometimes have blue and purple armors. So once we're ready to rotate, we have to make some decisions and keep certain things in mind. Who to fight, when to fight, how to rotate, where to rotate, playable positions, and zone predictions. Now, when it comes to deciding who to fight, you have to look at where other teams are. Are you in between two or more teams, or are there no teams that could jump into the fight? I'm sure at this point you've heard of the term third-party legends, and this is exactly why. You might have a good chance of winning a fight, but what good is it to win a fight if another team is just going to come and third-party you immediately? Now, there are some scenarios where you do have to take this risk, like if the team has a god spot or not. Winning this fight could mean taking their position and winning the game, or this team could be preventing you from taking the rotation you want. And like most of today's tips, it's going to be up to you to decide if certain things are worth doing. And when it comes to considering when to fight, I typically think about four main factors. How long until zone closes? Will this attract other POIs to look at us? Will this fight take too long? And will this affect our rotation at all? But I want to make something clear here. Do not get frozen trying to decide what to do here. This is all time sensitive, and not making a decision could also send you back to the lobby. Now, although these next two topics sound like easy decisions, they are primarily decided by the IGL and decide the fate of your games. When deciding how you want to rotate, you have to ask yourself questions like, is there a trident? Do we have a Valcolt? Or do we have any evacs? While also thinking about where the other teams are, do we have time to take this route, or can we go a different route? Because without thinking about factors like these, you are rotating in blindly and more than likely setting yourself up for failure. I would argue where to rotate is probably up there for the most important macros, because making the wrong decision here will only cause chaos for you. You can choose a spot in the next zone, but are you going to be in danger? And taking it a step further, does this put you in a place for the next zone, or does it give you an easy rotation for the next zone or endgame? Now, as far as playable positions and zone predictions go, there are two tools I use to better understand and prepare myself for the endgames. And the one I recommend using first is the zone prediction, which will be in the description. And basically, it's a minigame that shows you the first two zones, and with this information, you have to click on where you think the game will end. And once you do that, it will reveal the rest of the zones. Now, when I say this, it's no exaggeration. This tool has literally helped me win so many games. And the next link I'm going to be talking about is more about studying the map itself. It tells you what loot to expect, where everything is on the map, and most importantly, allows you to make better informed decisions for rotations. Okay, now that we have the basic macros out of the way, our next goal is to learn about macros. And if you want to learn about those, then I suggest subscribing and hitting that notification bell for part 2 of the video. And with that, I leave you guys with this. Be safe, stay healthy, later guys.